Last week, something insane happened while I was challenging the Battle Tower in Pokemon Platinum. I inadvertently stumbled upon a glitch that I could only find one other report of on the internet. This glitch will end your current winning streak, cause great confusion, and is super easy to accidentally trigger. In this video, I'll be going over how it happened, why it happens, and how you can prevent it from happening to yourself. So this wasn't the video I was expecting to make. A few days ago, I just finished writing up a script for a short and sweet video about eggs in Gen 4, detailing some oddities and things I found interesting. However, that all got completely derailed on September 27th, 2024. For context, I'm currently in the middle of a solo 100% playthrough of Pokemon Platinum, where I do basically everything possible without trading. As part of this playthrough, I wanted to start working on the Battle Tower as there are multiple exclusive ribbons to obtain there, along with the gold print. I was specifically trying to obtain the multi-ability ribbon, which you get for achieving a 50 win streak in the multi-battle mode with an NPC partner. Upon entering the battle room to start battle number 36, this happened. Why isn't it loading? Uh-oh. What? What happened? Somehow, when entering the battle room, my game decided to warp me back to the lobby and the screen remained black. While I couldn't see anything in this state, the game was clearly functioning normally. Upon exiting this black void, my 35 win streak had been erased. I didn't properly realize this until I entered the battle room again and saw my opponents having weak Pokemon that you would only see early in a win streak. At this point, I knew I wasn't going to make the egg video and spent the next few days investigating and experimenting with this glitch. I immediately messaged a clip of the incident to Glitch Hunter Retire with the hopes of getting some answers. And while I waited for a response, I began searching online to see if anyone else had experienced something similar. After digging through tons of old forums and Reddit posts, mostly complaining about how the Battle Frontier is quote-unquote rigged, I did manage to find something. 15 years ago, a Game FAQs user posted about a scenario very similar to what I experienced. I've beaten the Battle Tower in Diamond, and I'm not having any problems winning battles in Platinum. But every so often, my screen goes black when I re-enter after winning a 7-battle set. The music continues to play, but I'm forced to shut off my DS because I can't see anything, thus being disqualified. Is this a common problem? This black screen behavior was exactly what I had experienced. They mentioned being forced to shut off their DS though, whereas I was able to progress through invisible dialogue and eventually see again. There's a good chance it was still the same glitch that I experienced, but instead of mashing A until something happened, they just restarted their DS when the black screen appeared. Of course, in usual old forum fashion, the comments responding to OP are completely useless and immediately go towards calling the Battle Tower unfair. When I clicked on this user's profile, I was stunned to see they actually logged in as recently as 2 days prior, so I logged into my ancient Game FAQs account and sent a long-shot message to see if they had any extra information about how they triggered this glitch on a seemingly frequent basis. While I was awaiting these responses, I also spoke with Modder Refined Plat about what might have happened. They were thinking it might have been a failsafe activated by the game that happened between the fade out and the fade back in. For example, maybe the NPCs failed to initialize, so the game freaked out and kicked me out to the lobby. During our conversation, we figured out an important detail about what happened when I was experiencing this glitch. By counting the beeps heard from my A presses, we could determine exactly what dialogue I was mashing through while in this black void. After counting dialogue normally and comparing, it turns out it was almost certainly the dialogue that triggers when you reload the game after entering the facility. In this dialogue, the NPC says you are not allowed to reload and disqualifies you from your current challenge. I thought this was pretty interesting because I obviously did not reload the game. After looking through the recording of the incident, I did realize that my party technically fainted on the last fight of my previous battle before re-entering the tower. I mentioned earlier I was challenging the multi-battle mode where you battle with an NPC partner. On my 35th battle, right before the glitch happened, my party members fainted and my NPC partner finished up the fight. After talking about it with Retire, he was thinking maybe the game set a flag saying that my party fainted and somehow the flag remained unchanged until the next time I entered the room. At that point, the game checked this loss flag and immediately handed me a massive L. So I began immediately trying to recreate the glitch. I would enter the last battle of a win streak, being the 7th battle, have my party members faint, but still be in position for my NPC partner to win. Then I would immediately re-enter and see if I got kicked out upon entering the battle room. Unfortunately, forcing your party members to faint and having your NPC partner still win is incredibly inconsistent because the AI stinks. So it took a couple hours to get it to happen just a few times. After doing this multiple times, I failed to recreate the glitch. The next day, Retire looked into the scripts that run when you enter the battle room. After some digging, he had 2 ideas for what happened. Idea number 1 was that the game just failed to fade back in and asked me if I wanted to continue, and I must have accidentally pressed B and ended up leaving. The issue with this idea is that the game doesn't actually ask you if you want to continue upon entering the room. It only asks this after winning a battle. The other issue is that pressing B at this dialog box does nothing. I would have had to scroll all the way down and click A for my streak to end. Additionally, I didn't recall pressing any buttons upon entering the room when the glitch happened to me. Retire's other theory was that a script was getting overwritten mid-execution, resulting in the script that was supposed to fade us back in being unfinished and the player getting warped out. Retire was able to simulate this in Diamond and Pearl, but the game handles this well and reloads the screen. This results in no black void like I experienced, so it was unlikely to be the culprit. I spent the rest of the day testing basically anything that came to mind, even to the point where I just kept re-entering the room and quitting to see if it would happen randomly. While I didn't remember pressing buttons when I entered the room, I figured what's the harm and tried mashing A and B when entering the room during my test. And that's when it happened. I approached the room, mashed B as I entered, and the exact same glitch happened again. I heard the same dialogue beeps and was even able to menu and hear the cursor. So I tried again and nothing happened. I tried again, nothing. On my 3rd retry it happened again. It seemed that all that was required was to mash B and it would sometimes happen. To be extra thorough, I tried it with different party members and under different circumstances, like being on a streak or not. And those factors didn't matter. Literally all that mattered was if I was mashing B or not. I immediately went to check if the glitch existed in Diamond, Pearl, HeartGold, or SoulSilver, since they all had battle towers. Surprisingly, I couldn't recreate it at all in the other Gen 4 games, even with the HeartGold SoulSilver battle tower being basically identical to Platinum's. I also went to check all of the other facilities in the battle frontier and couldn't recreate it in any of them. It seems that this can only happen in Pokemon Platinum's battle tower. Now that I had a reliable way to reproduce the bug, I let Retire know and he was able to figure out exactly what was happening behind the scenes. It didn't take long for him to find the issue. All of our theories for what might have been happening were wrong, and the actual issue was incredibly simple. Platinum added a unique script command to handle this part of the game, and in it there is literally a simple check that can warp you back to the lobby. The game checks that a flag is set and if you press the B button. You can think of a flag as a checkbox that gets checked when a certain condition is met. In this case, the flag always seems to be set when you enter the battle room. If you meet these 2 conditions, you warp back to the lobby. Yep, that's it. You can try it for yourself. It's really easy to recreate. Just enter, mash B, and then quit and retry if it doesn't work. Now, why would the game have something like this? The only real explanation is that it's leftover debug code that was somehow missed and remained in the game. Imagine a programmer wanted to test the walk animations or the initial battle tower functionality and didn't want to reset every time. They can just use this, press B upon room entry to quickly try over and over again. This would also explain why it's not in HeartGold SoulSilver. The script either got rewritten or this rogue debug code was caught. A fun note here is that this is also a frame-perfect B press. The odds of you casually tapping B, entering this room, and triggering this glitch are astronomically low. I'm almost certain I wasn't mashing when I lost my 35 win streak, and was probably just casually tapping buttons to the rhythm of the game's music like I usually do. So somehow, while tapping to the beat, I managed to hit a frame-perfect button press that instantly erased a 35 win streak and consumed the next 3 days of my life. To say that this is unlucky is probably an understatement. This would also explain why I could only find one post mentioning this glitch, and more specifically why this one poster seemed to experience it so frequently. They must have been tapping B idly all the time while waiting, which would easily trigger the glitch every once in a while and make them lose progress. I made sure to message them my findings to answer their 15-year-old question. While losing my win streak did sting, I think this scenario is such a great encapsulation of what I hope to accomplish with my videos. Information on the internet for these older Pokemon games is currently in a very weird position. I have no doubt in my mind other people beyond the one Game FAQs user have experienced this issue, but they either didn't post about it or they posted about it 15 years ago on some random forums that are gone forever. On top of that, modern search engines are truly awful and getting worse, and tons of stuff that has been figured out is hidden in random Discord servers that you can't search. This makes it harder than ever to find super niche information like this glitch. As a result, a lot of information about these games is just super out of date or misinformation that is carried over for years and years. I'm sure there are other very weird and minor glitches that exist that haven't been found or documented yet. My goal with these videos is simply to improve the documentation and preservation of every bit of information about these games, even if it means wasting hours and hours to recreate what most people would brush off as a freak accident. These games just have so much stuff in them, it's actually mind-boggling at times. It still feels like there's so much to learn about them despite being relatively old. Anyways, if you take one thing away from this video, it's this. Please don't press any buttons while you're walking into the battle tower. Don't make the same mistake I did, please, and lose 2 hours of your life. By the way, huge thanks to Retire for helping me figure out what was going on. I put his YouTube and Twitter in the description if you would like to see more Gen 4 glitch stuff. Oh, and I promise I'll go back and finish that egg video eventually. That's going to be it for this video. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to like and subscribe. Also, let me know in the comments if you ever experienced this glitch or any other weird glitch that you couldn't find an explanation for. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.